What's up guys, Max here, back with some more updates regarding Injustice 2. There was a lot that was shown off during the Gamescom trailers and event show, and wanted to check out more of what's going on with Harley and DEADSHOT. There's also one other thing that was immediately catching my eye in the new gameplay videos compared to the first ones that were at E3, and that's specifically the size of the stage and the size of the characters. From Injustice 1, you might remember, the game was very projectile heavy because there was a huge amount of space between the characters from the first title. This was almost more than any other fighting game, and it really made characters that had projectiles even more powerful and kinda hard to get in on them. I thought Injustice 2, based on the E3 footage I played, that the screen wasn't going to be nearly as big, and it seemed like they were actually condensing the screen size and making the characters a little bit bigger, and I was actually just taking comparisons of the first title screen where you have the characters facing off against each other in the versus round, and comparing that to the new stuff that's going on within the Gamescom build. It looks to be much more familiar to the first Injustice game. Characters have a little bit more space between them, and when they're full screen, they're really far apart. Now, is this a bad thing? Should we be worrying about this, considering the fact that the first game was so projectile heavy at the start? I don't think so. Later on in Injustice 1, the game was heavily adjusted in terms of projectiles and how certain characters can act around projectiles, and a lot of that stuff wasn't nearly as prevalent later on. So I'm going to assume that they already are completely aware of that, because there are mechanics in the game right now, like the dash roll, which not a lot of people have shown off. It's a meter burn roll that allows you to press forward, and your character will literally fly across the whole screen almost to the other side. You can catch people jumping up, you can catch people like shooting lasers from the sky, and as soon as they land, you can punish them. There is things in the game right now mechanically to kind of like alleviate the heavy zoning that was the first Injustice game, so I wouldn't be too worried even if the screen space does seem a little bit bigger. Now, let's talk about Harley and DEADSHOT. Harley, if anyone played her from the original Injustice game, knows a lot of what she does, and it looks like a lot of it is pretty familiar. This shouldn't come as a surprise because we've already seen gameplay, and I did talk a bit about playing characters like Batman and Superman, how they're all too familiar, and all the basic combos I was doing before are kind of working here as well. It's a little weird, but at the same time, there are minor changes. The way certain things move, you have to meter burn things differently now, and some stuff that didn't cost meter before now actually does cost meter. There is changes. I would like to say this is a big change, like if you compare Ryu and Ken from the Street Fighter 2 series to like Street Fighter Alpha or Street Fighter 3, they're fundamentally the same, but they just act differently, and something very similar is happening to Harley. Her trait is dramatically different now. She does not have that random box trait that she kind of had from the first game. She seems to actually have the hyenas, and she would throw a bone and the hyena would go and chase the bone that you can probably use for an overhead mix-up or a hard to blockable situation, and it looks cool. It's kind of neat to have her like summon in big evil dogs that can go bite the shit out of you. But some other combos were looking very similar. I remember doing some of these exact same combos, which is why I was saying I was getting a very familiar feeling when I was playing Batman and Superman, and Harley's going to be kind of the same. So for anyone that loved Harley within the first Injustice game, you should be good. But there are some new changes. There are some new grab enders that I had never seen before from the first one, so I'm looking forward to seeing how she's going to change in this one, and especially all those damn costumes. Like, good lord, how many of these variances are we gonna get? Next up is DEADSHOT, and DEADSHOT, being the other new revealed character, is probably the first in Injustice 2 that I'm actively excited to play as. Between Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Atrocitus, Gorilla Grodd, like all the characters that have been shown already, the only one I was kind of looking forward to playing as was Atrocitus, and I did get to play him a bit. And I'm not super thrilled about it. Like, he's fun, but he's not a character I'm really amped about playing. He's no Batgirl. But right now, just on visual appeal alone, DEADSHOT looks freaking sick. If we want to compare him to a couple of characters that you might remember, there is a lot of instances that reminds me of some Aaron Black stuff, as well as some shotgun variation of Jackie in Mortal Kombat X. And we've seen stuff like this before. From Injustice moving to Mortal Kombat X, there was a lot of similarities of character traits and certain things you could do with characters in Injustice that kind of made their way over into MKX, and that's going to be a similar thing here. MKX, unique nuances between characters are going to carry over into this new game, which is completely fine, as long as we get things that look cool, act differently, and we don't have exact clone characters. Similar to Aaron Black, DEADSHOT can reflect bullets off the ground, similar to Aaron Black reflecting bullets off of his coins, and he also pulls out a rifle from his back where he gets maybe a shot or two off if you meter burn it. Also very similar to marksman Aaron Black. But probably one of the best things that was recently shown off is these shotgun-like wrist guards. You can do active combos, juggling, and pretty much all the combos I'm seeing with DEADSHOT look like they're a lot of fun and they look really cool. You would think that this character is naturally going to be a zoning variation, but they are showing a lot of what his close quarters combat can do within these like shotgun-style attacks, so I am looking forward to that. I just don't want DEADSHOT to be like a early release Deathstroke from the first Injustice. That keep away was a freaking nightmare. What do you guys think about Harley and DEADSHOT? They actually showed off two characters that primarily use weapon-based gun attacks, specifically for this trailer and Gamescom, and I'm kind of curious what they are going to be doing next, because many people were anticipating it was going to be Harley and the Joker. You guarantee that the Joker is probably going to be in this game. He might look a lot like the Jim Lee variation just because that's the style, but at the same time they now have this dramatically different looking facial structure for all the characters that looks hyper-realistic, like super realistic. So what are characters like the Joker gonna look like? Is it gonna be like Jared Leto style from New Suicide Squad, or is it going to be crazy looking Jim Lee Joker? I'm kind of really curious what direction they're going to take here. And that's about it. As soon as we get more information, I'll be back with more Injustice 2 updates, news, and info, and I appreciate your subscription if you want to check it out. As always, guys, my name is Max, and I'll see you next time.